The storm left the coast silent, scraped clean, as if the ocean had erased something overnight. I arrived early, expecting debris, expecting wreckage, but not the weight pressing against the horizon. Something had changed the shoreline's meaning. Fishermen wouldn't meet my eyes when they spoke. Their voices dropped, shaped by rumor and disbelief, each sentence contradicting itself. Whatever they saw last night refused to fit inside language. I followed the curve of the shore, and then the world simply widened. The scale broke my sense of distance. Perspective failed before reason even tried to intervene. A body lay where the sea ended, human in form, impossible in size. The sand clung to it like shame, as if the shore already wanted to forget what it carried. I searched for wounds, for explanation, for proof this was a trick of erosion or light. Instead, I found fingernails larger than boats and skin mapped by veins like rivers. Age meant nothing here. Growth had rewritten the rules. I couldn't tell if this being was ancient or newly born, only that it didn't belong to our measurements. People arrived quickly. Curiosity spread faster than fear. The crowd formed a perimeter, then broke it, inch by inch, daring the body to react. Someone touched it first. Nothing happened. Relief rippled outward, and with it, permission. The impossible was suddenly harmless. Laughter replaced silence. Children ran along limbs like playgrounds. The body became terrain, stripped of dignity by... I imagined it standing, imagined the shore erased by a single step. The thought made me flinch, though nothing moved except the tide. Night returned the fear. In the dark, scale becomes threat again. We left under a bruised sky, pretending the sea would solve the problem for us. Night returned the fear. In the dark, scale becomes threat again. We left under a bruised sky, pretending the sea would solve the problem for us. 3 days later, interest thinned. Wonder has a short lifespan. What remained was opportunity, sharpened by boredom. A group of young men measured bone with greedy eyes. Tools appeared. Curiosity turned surgical without hesitation. I returned later, choosing the quiet hours. Without the crowd, the body felt closer to a person again, though decay had already begun its work. Climbing onto it felt wrong. Each step pressed into flesh that never consented to be examined. I kept going anyway. Up close, damage became undeniable. A limb was missing, removed not by nature, but by intention. The beach had learned a new role. Predator. The body was no longer mysterious, only useful. Smoke marks dotted the skin. People had sat here, rested, eaten. The impossible had become furniture. Children slid down curved surfaces, laughing. Castles rose where ribs met sand. No one explained what they were playing on. Each day, something vanished. A foot, a hand. Memory shrank with the body. Heavy machinery arrived without ceremony. Steel teeth met skin. No one filmed the moment it crossed that line. Graffiti followed. Names, symbols, jokes. The body became a message board for people who wanted to be remembered longer than it would. The head disappeared next. No announcement. No outrage. Just absence. What remained barely resembled a body. It was material now. Resource. People cooked parts of it. Shared meals with birds. No one called it what it was. Naming would have slowed them down. Weeks passed. Then months. The shore flattened again. Nature and neglect finished the job together. Fragments surfaced elsewhere. Bones buried beneath towels. Furniture carved from what once walked. The head turned up inland, stripped clean, displayed without context. People paid to stare. Another part sat in a tank, mislabeled, sanitized, sold as something safer. Truth requires responsibility. Eventually, even the story wore thin. The beach returned to being just a beach. I wondered if it had ever been real, or if scale alone had rewritten my senses. Maybe it was only a carcass. A trick of erosion. A story desperate to exist. Or maybe we failed a test we didn't know we were taking. The ocean didn't explain itself. It never does. It simply waits. If it happens again, I know what we'll do. We always do. We'll climb it. Measure it. Take pieces home. We'll call it curiosity. History will call it something kinder. And the ocean will keep its silence. That silence is what scares me most. Days kept moving forward, but the shoreline felt paused, like a thought no one finished. I returned often, not to study anymore, but to confirm the absence was real. Where the body once rested, the sand refused to settle evenly. Subtle depressions lingered, as if the ground itself remembered pressure longer than people do. I tried explaining it to colleagues inland. Their faces tightened with polite disbelief. Without evidence, the story sounded theatrical, almost indulgent. Photos failed. Scale collapsed on screens. Without context, the impossible shrank into ambiguity. I realized then how fragile truth becomes once novelty fades. Memory needs witnesses, and witnesses need excitement. Strangers still asked questions, but their curiosity felt hollow. They wanted spectacle, not understanding, and certainly not responsibility. I started noticing objects inland that didn't belong. Benches, railings, carved supports, each shape familiar in a way that made my stomach tighten. Nothing was labeled truthfully. Language softened everything. Materials became reclaimed, not taken. Children who once played there had already forgotten. Their games moved on, carrying no weight of origin. I tried to write a formal report. Each sentence sounded exaggerated, even to me. The words resisted standing upright. What unsettled me most wasn't the violence, but the efficiency. The way meaning was stripped faster than flesh ever was. We didn't fear the unknown. We processed it. Reduced it until it fit into pockets, sheds, and stories. The sea kept bringing ordinary things now. Kelp, broken nets, driftwood. It felt deliberate, almost corrective. Sometimes I wondered if the scale was the real illusion. Maybe it only felt enormous because it exposed how small our restraint truly is. I revisited the exact spot again and again, expecting something to surface. Bone, proof, anything. The sand offered nothing back. Absence became the final condition. Clean. Efficient. Easier to live with than complexity. I started doubting myself. Memory softens at the edges when no one helps hold it in place. Maybe it had been a trick of exhaustion. A storm-distorted carcass. Something explainable if examined long enough. But doubt didn't erase the images. The weight. The way the horizon bent around it. I realized something uncomfortable then. The body wasn't the anomaly. Our reaction was. Given time, we normalize anything that doesn't fight back. Even wonder becomes passive under enough footsteps. I stopped writing reports. No institution was waiting for this truth. It didn't lead anywhere profitable. What lingered was a question I couldn't file away. If it happens again, will we behave differently? History suggests no. Scale excites us. Silence invites us closer. The sea keeps its distance now. Calm. Ordinary. Almost forgiving. That forgiveness feels undeserved. If the shore ever delivers something like that again, we'll call it a miracle first. Then a resource. Then a memory that inconveniences progress. And finally, nothing at all. I don't know if it was real. I only know what disappeared afterward. Sometimes that feels worse. The shore holds no monuments, no warnings, just space. Space is forgiving. People rarely are. I stopped expecting answers from the sea. It already showed us enough. What we do with what washes ashore, that's the real measurement. And by that measure, we were very small. Smaller than we like to believe. smaller than whatever the sea decided not to keep. That thought follows me longer than any footprint ever could. Time passed quietly after that. The kind of quiet that doesn't heal, only buries. I returned less often, yet the shoreline followed me everywhere I went. Ordinary beaches began to feel staged. Every stretch of sand looked like a placeholder, waiting for something heavier to arrive. I started noticing how people scan the horizon without realizing it, as if part of us expects the sea to return something unfinished. Nothing ever did. Just waves repeating themselves, practicing indifference with perfect consistency. I realized the event had changed me quietly, not with fear, but with suspicion, toward awe itself. Awe invites possession. The larger something feels, the more we feel entitled to it. We like to think discovery is noble, but it often ends with inventory. What arrived wasn't a challenge or a message. It was a mirror stretched to unbearable size. And mirrors don't judge. They only reflect what stands in front of them. Sometimes I imagine it never happened. That the beach was empty from the beginning. That version of the world is easier to live in. It asks less of us. But ease isn't truth. And truth has a way of resurfacing when conditions are right. I stopped looking for proof in objects. Instead, I watched behavior. That was harder to dismiss. The way people approach the unknown hasn't changed. Only the packaging has improved. We still take before we understand. We still decorate what should be left alone. The shore taught me that scale doesn't create humility. Silence doesn't guarantee respect. Only restraint does. And restraint rarely survives first contact. That realization felt heavier than the body ever did. If something greater than us appears again, we won't ask what it is. We'll ask what it's worth. That question will decide everything faster than fear ever could. The beach remains open, unmarked, unprotected. So does our curiosity. That combination should worry us more than monsters ever could. Because monsters announce themselves. We don't. We arrive smiling, measuring, planning. By the time we name what we've done, there's nothing left to name. The sea doesn't correct us. It records. And it has a very long memory. Ours is much shorter, conveniently. That may be the most dangerous difference between us. Nothing else washed ashore after that. Or maybe it did, and no one was looking the right way. The beach doesn't announce its secrets. It waits for us to misuse them. That patience feels intentional. And deeply unsettling. I no longer ask what it was. That question feels irrelevant now. The only question that matters is what we are. And I'm not sure we'd like the answer if something big enough forced it out of us again. Until then, the shore stays quiet. So do we. For now. The shoreline looks ordinary now. Too ordinary. Like a stage after the actors leave and the lights shut off. People come here to relax again. They sit where something unimaginable once rested, unaware, or unwilling, to ask what pressed the sand so flat. Normalcy returns faster than truth ever could. It always does. Sometimes I wonder if forgetting is our real survival instinct. Memory asks too much of us. If the sea offered us another chance, another arrival, I don't believe we'd hesitate. Curiosity would still outrun caution. We'd step closer, take measurements, share photos, call it discovery before calling it damage. That pattern feels older than science, older than stories. Maybe nothing extraordinary ever washed ashore. Maybe the giant was only a mirror large enough to expose us completely. That possibility unsettles me more than any impossible anatomy ever could. Because mirrors don't disappear. They wait for us to look again. The shore doesn't remember the body. It remembers the weight. And that weight lingers, even when nothing else does. I leave the beach knowing this won't be the last time something arrives. The sea is patient. It can afford to be. We, on the other hand, rush every encounter, even the sacred ones. That impatience may be the only constant thing about us. Whatever came ashore that day is gone now, named, divided, forgotten. What remains is the question it left behind, pressing quietly beneath our feet. If something greater than us appears again, will we finally pause, or simply repeat ourselves? The sea doesn't answer. It only waits to see what we do next.